Nothing that we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here, 8:30 a.m. EST. We're looking at the NASDAQ. So, we talk a lot about Bitcoin on this, and a lot of my work has been with crypto. I'm finding that crypto is a great thing to hold over time. But if you are a trader, if you want to make base hit wins, you might have some better luck in other markets, number one. Number two, right now, in the current state of the market, the NASDAQ is going to have a lot to do with what Bitcoin does. And so this is something that you're going to want to watch, right? So if you look at the NASDAQ, very interesting stuff. This thing has been moving up since yesterday. Now, it really did want to continue down. All the algos yesterday when I opened the show, or at least when I started the show, wanted to move down, and it was looking like there was going to be a new lower high, and it would just continue down. But then we had some news. We had news that we made some kind of deal with Japan and India. Now, India is massive, probably has the biggest or second biggest population on the planet. And of course, Japan is historically a manufacturing giant, although Japan is kind of in a similar situation to the US when it comes to cost of production and some things that are making its manufacturing capabilities a little bit hampered at this point. And that's just the cycle. You start off with the population that, a lower, you start out with a lower cost of production. You start to produce, you make a lot of money, your people make a lot more money, and then it costs more to produce. It's part of what it is. China's going through it too. So long story short, the news happened. The market got bullish and it literally flipped everything, right? So all the predictions that I made over the weekend are pretty much on their head. And that's just what happens. You get in the current environment, when you have the trade war and you have news regarding that trade war, you're going to get that kind of stuff. And if you look right here, there's a massive gap. This massive gap here yesterday. Let me zoom down to a lower time frame. And this gap here is very bullish, at least short term, and it happened at about 2:30 p.m. Yeah, this massive gap, but it was headed up anyway. And I know 2:30 is like a lot of markets close and stuff like that, so that may have to do with that, like a lack of liquidity. The real price kind of reveals itself, right? So that's a very bullish thing when you see a fat gap up like that. Although gaps tend to be filled over time, it hasn't happened yet. And in the meantime, you just have this massive move up, bottomed out at 17,678. Now I'm going to overlay Bitcoin on top of that just so you can see the relationship here, right? So let's do that. Let's see here. Now you'll notice Bitcoin actually front ran this. It could be one or the other. It depends on where things are in the market, et cetera, et cetera. But Bitcoin had a lot of downward pressure. Bitcoin's been pretty bearish for a while. It naturally turned around. And when the NASDAQ first hit its bottom back in the local bottom at 16.5, this was back on April 7th, Bitcoin started to head up pretty steadily, but the NASDAQ shot up really hard on news and then kind of, leveled out. So when you have these hard moves up, usually what you see is some kind of a move back down to cover that area. And surely enough, it did. But if you look at Bitcoin, it's been more of a steady rise. There was a hard move up, but more of a steady rise rather than this kind of, jerky motion from the NASDAQ. But you'll see that in general, NASDAQ and Bitcoin are very, very closely related. And it's just a lot easier to trade NASDAQ than it is Bitcoin. Just, now the current environment, it's a day trader's paradise, right? If you're a swing trader, you might end up, it's better than usual. There's a lot of volatility, but if you were a swing trader at about noon, 2 p.m. EST yesterday, you might have gotten knocked out of your trade when that news came out, right? So you might have been short, like I would have been. I wasn't short in NASDAQ, right? But when the news came out and really elevated markets, I was on a phone call when that happened. I was actually in a meeting when that happened, and I was in the meeting with somebody who was actually a very, very well-known trader, used to be on YouTube all the time. And I was talking to him. I'm like, hey, something just happened in markets. I said, are you watching this? He goes, no. I said, something just happened. Some kind of news hit because everything went apeshit. And it was right at about 2 p.m. EST-ish. It was actually a little before that because things started to move, but it was kind of quiet. And then all of a sudden, the rest of everybody caught on to the news. So, I mean, if you were short, you got stopped out. And this is just the environment. When you have, news can happen anytime. You got to be ready for that. Now, as a day trader, that also you're going to get knocked out of your trade as well. But as a day trader, you can actually catch this wave as it moves up and make up the profit. As a swing trader, you're going to have to hang back and look for the opportunity to open up again. And it may do so. And this is going to be similar to Bitcoin, which we are going to get to here in just a minute. So with the NASDAQ, you're going to see probably a move to 19K. And how it behaves here at 19 is going to tell us a lot. If price can break up, right? If you can do that like this, or if it can do that like this, then you're going to find the market is going to overall get very bullish, especially if it can break above this March high of 20,570. I don't know that it's going to. I get the feeling that this move is either going to run out of gas or you're going to get some kind of news at one of these resistances that makes price reverse back down. Now, it's hard to say. I know the algos this is only the 30-minute. Let me take a brief look at the high time frame. Yeah, algos are touch and go. Short-term bullish at the moment, but high time frame, it looks like really bad. It would take some serious market news to turn this around. Like you would have to, my opinion is that for this entire market fall to stop happening, you would need to see, hey, trade war is settled with China and have it be some decent terms. If the trade war is over, maybe not even with decent terms, as long as all the tariffs and stuff, if those ended, there would be a major shot upwards. Would it continue up? Not so sure, but I think that's what it would take. And Bitcoin's going to have a similar thing, although Bitcoin's much, much more bullish. This news put it way past the prediction that you see, which was a more private prediction. You're going to have a hard time getting past 96,000, though. There's a lot of liquidity with Bitcoin at 96,000 in recent history, going back to like the end of last year. So if price can make it up to 96, and it is going to be attracted towards 96. How it behaves at 96 is going to be, number one, very indicative of the rest of the picture. And number two, it's probably going to be led by traditional finance and what happens with the NASDAQ. That's how that works. Lisa, thank you for the kind words. Always good to have you here. So let's go ahead and take a brief look at EURUSD. We'll cover a little bit of Forex. I'm watching this closely. Since the market reversed yesterday, what I like about Forex is you can use a small amount of money to make a big dent. And as long as you understand how to safely use that money, right? And that's, conservation of capital, money management. We teach that stuff at Algo Factory. It's not investment advice. It's nuts and bolts, right? We're not telling you what to buy, what not to buy. We're just showing you when you trade, you need to be careful and conserve capital, right? So with that said, right here, and this actually, let's see here, Tuesday, Monday at 3. What today is today Tuesday or Wednesday? I'm flipping out here. It's Wednesday. So we even had kind of a preview of this. And once price started to head down, the news didn't even come until the next day, right? And you're going to, this major move down, it was in the cards for the euro. And the euro versus the dollar, they do move somewhat in tandem. So this is an interesting bit of a divergence from what it was doing. During the whole scenario of the trade war, this was headed up. Yesterday, prior to the news, it really headed down, but it started to head down, but once the news hit, it went down hard, right? Now, it's headed back up and it's evening out. But what's really interesting to look at is the USDJPY, because now you're going to see, what is this? The 3-hour chart. Yeah. So let's see, Tuesday. Same thing here. It's interesting. The USDJPY seems to be forecasting right now. So the thing about USDJPY, why I like to watch it, and this will be the last thing we talk about, is that, Koob, the question is on that NQ monthly hammer, is the month over yet on that candle? Is that just a candle that is it mid candle, or is that last month's candle? That's what you have to ask yourself. You want to only care about candles once the candle is closed. Back to the screen here. USDJPY if it's going to move with the market, but in this particular case, it seems to have forecast what was going to happen, because the USDJPY flipped at 2 a.m. EST yesterday. So when that flipped, we're talking about what, 8-10 hours before the market news. So it seems to me that the currency markets understood what was going to happen before the stock market. So just a little bit of a clue on the macro for you. And that's all I got for you today. So we are going to go ahead. I'm going to flip over to the private live lab. Now, if you come over to Algo Factory, there's a couple things you could do. There's a free algo. There's a link right there in the description. Go to the description, get your free algo, give us your email address. You could do a fake name, I don't care. And we will send you updates as to the weekly market update. And we're also going to be doing some workshops where you might be able to, I don't know, watch me trade. My plan right now is probably for about 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for a number of hours. You'll be able to kind of watch me, and as the trades are taking their time to form up, I can answer questions and things like that. And that's going to be a free workshop, and we'll send out an email with an invitation to that as well. So please go to the description, click the link, get the free algo, and keep watching. Keep watching. Whenever you have these major news events, what you have to do is you actually have to retool, right? You gotta reassess the whole market and play it as it is. And this is why on that Sunday video, I always say that, hey, news can toss this on its head. Certainly happened this week, and that's fine. Great. You know what I mean? Like, it just gives me more opportunities to trade, and that's because I understand how to handle that. We teach you how to handle that. We teach you how to trade like a hedge fund pro. So thank you all for watching, and also, never ever forget.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. You're not going to die, but we do love you. Come join us, algofactory.tech. Catch you next time.